Hi there, welcome to the channel. If you're here looking for some quick but meaningful tips for becoming an everyday millionaire, then grab a notebook because I'm going to share a key lesson that every millionaire must learn in order to grow their wealth and their financial future. And it's one word, and that word is leverage. In this video, I'll be relating it to one of my favorite investment assets, and that is real estate. And the good news is, when you learn this simple concept, you can then begin to leverage your knowledge and how to look for opportunities to leverage your capital and then put it to work. Now, this video is some examples of how you can use leverage to earn and then, of course, maximize your profits. Now, leverage is one of my favorite components of real estate investing. What we're looking at when we consider real estate investing is we are investing in a hard asset that produces a consistent and long-term ROI and rate of return on our capital. Now, this particular style of investing, when compared with, let's say, stocks or bonds or even cash savings, is an extremely powerful and proven way to build your wealth. And it's the key reason that so many everyday millionaires own real estate as part of their long-term wealth plans. Now, this is not to sway you. This is not financial advice in any way. Financial decisions are always your decisions, and you can choose to invest your money however you want. My goal here is to simply give you a perspective and provide you some of the insights you need to make a decision to investigate further. And investing in real estate is just one of the proven strategies I personally happen to use. Now, from my experience and perspective, leverage is what really appealed to me when I started investing my money. It was a fork in the road moment for me back in 2001 when I was learning this very same concept that I'm sharing with you today. And I wish I would have had understood it better when I bought my first home in 1985, but that's a lesson for another day that I'll share. Okay. What I'm going to share here with you is what we call the power of leverage. Now, there are several key points that you can anchor to in understanding how it works. To add some depth to what I'm about to share here and why I believe in real estate is based on having 5 ways to win in real estate. And I'm going to use the analogy of a 5-course meal to set you up for the power of leverage, so I hope you'll like to eat. Okay, so let's walk through the 5-course meal, and then I'll give you a clear example of leverage for a long-term buy and hold real estate strategy. Now, in the analogy of a 5-course meal, we talk about the appetizer, which is going to represent the cash flow. Then the salad, which is what is referred to as forced appreciation of the asset. And then the entree or main course, which is the mortgage or principal buy down. Then we're going to have dessert, which we refer to as value appreciation. And finally, we may finish our meal with an espresso, which I'll call the annuity. Now, if there are terms here you're not following, that's okay. I'll get into more detail right away. Okay, so let's walk through the 5-course meal, and then I'll give you a clear example of leverage for a long-term buy and hold real estate strategy. Now, keep in mind, when we eat or go for a 5-course meal, we don't always have all of the courses. I'll talk about that later. But let's begin with the appetizer of our meal, which is real estate that can have a cash yield. And it's referred to as cash on cash return. And that's calculated based on the positive cash flow that a property produces. Comparatively, this is more challenging to find in other typical investments such as stocks. And you can get cash yield on dividend paying stocks, but they're generally a far lower cash yield percentage. Now, of course, there are other riskier investments that can have a higher return for sure, but the key word in this statement is riskier. The cash on cash yield on a property is calculated by considering the income or rent less all of the expenses, and what is left over after the expenses are paid is the positive cash flow or cash on cash yield. The expenses include mortgage and interest payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance of the property strata, and other things, but I'll save that lesson about property analysis for another video. The next course of our meal is the salad, which is the equity gain through what is referred to as forced appreciation. This is where an investor upgrades the property through some type of renovation, and the renovation adds appeal and therefore increases value. Now, you may have heard the term sweat equity, which is intended to force the value of the property higher. Investors who fix and flip, for example, are in fact forcing appreciation. After we enjoy the salad of forced appreciation, we enjoy what we really came to dinner for, and that is the entree or the main course. And this really is the meat on the bone, so to speak, or if you're a vegetarian, which I'm not, perhaps the tomatoes and the cheese on your salad. Whichever the case, mortgage buy down or principal buy down is what provides the only guaranteed return on your investment over the long term. Because as long as you're making a mortgage payment, the principal portion of the mortgage is being bought down. In other words, if your mortgage is $400,000 over time, such as 5, 10, 15 years, the principal amount of the mortgage is going down. The true power in real estate is that your tenant is making those payments for you. Your job is to find great tenants and keep that property rented. Some look at a property as somebody having a piggy bank that they're putting money in for you. Okay, so now we can sit back and enjoy our dessert, can't we? Which is market appreciation or equity gain or value gain in many terms through market appreciation, which is generally based on whatever the current inflation is. Now, market appreciation is driven by general inflation and is always supported by supply and demand. The higher the demand, the lower the supply, the higher the prices. That's kind of the rule of economics, isn't it? And finally, we might like to enjoy an espresso, which is what I call an annuity, which real estate can be in the long term. The mortgage principal gets to be very low or even paid right off over the years, and the rent you have coming in covers all of the expenses. And with no mortgage payment or a far lower mortgage amount, you can enjoy the passive income that it generates and that supports your financial future. So as I said earlier, you go for a 5-course meal doesn't mean you're going to eat every course. So when we look at the appetizer and we think about the cash flow or cash on cash yield, in a long-term buy and hold strategy, you want to buy for positive cash flow. There are occasions and examples where you don't. That wouldn't be the choice. Or your cash flow is negative or break even when you first buy the property and you know that rent is going to increase. So in that case, you may not get the appetizer for the first year or 18 months that you own the property. Next, we go for our salad. And while a salad is nice to have, the actual equity or forced equity appreciation is not something that everybody wants to do or even needs to do. Forced appreciation is when you go in and put that sweat equity in when you do that renovation. Now, not everybody needs to do that or wants to do that, so you may actually skip that. But here's something you will never skip, which is the principal buy down, the mortgage buy down. So in other words, the principal portion, because you're making interest and principal payments, so the principal gets bought down. The good news, as I said earlier, is that tenant is making that payment. That's really where the meat and the bone is. And again, it's where the greatest wealth is created is in that mortgage buy down. And then when we have dessert, that is the opportunity, of course, to ride the inflation wave. And if you're buying in the right region and using the economic fundamentals that drives real estate prices, talk about that later as well, then of course you're getting that appreciation and that's good news. Now, when we get to the, aperitif, if you will, the annuity, you may or may not hang on to that property for an extended period of time. This is that kind of ideal situation where you hold that property for many years and after a while it starts to pay you that passive income. Okay, so I just wanted to state that and give you a little deeper context for it. There are a couple of additional components of real estate that I'll point out here as well. And that number one of that is that it's a hard asset and you can see it, you can touch it, which means it's tangible. Now, that's because, of course, it is physical. And that is something that is not necessarily available in other investments. Also, there are some tax advantages when you have an investor-focused accountant that can guide you. I use the Smith maneuver as an example. You can make a note of that to talk to your accountant. But my suggestion is to add that to your notes, talk to your accountant, and learn and understand what exactly it is along with the other tax advantage strategies. And remember, when it comes to tax strategies, situations are unique to you and your scenario. It's not the same for everybody. So it's you that needs to know what they are, and you need to check with your investor-focused accountant to get a handle on that. So now we've looked at these kind of foundational components. Let's really break down the greatest power of real estate, and that is why it outshines other investments, and that's because of leverage. Let's look at the power of leverage and how it works by working through really a quick example so that it's illustrated more effectively, more powerfully. Okay, so let's do a deal. Now, in this, we're going to pretend that we have $100,000 to invest, and we're going to invest it into two different streams and see how they compare. Now, this is not a full-on real example, but it is foundational, and it's enough that you can have an appreciation for what the power of leverage in real estate compared to stocks, for example, which is the other stream I'll use in this example. So let's do a deal. You've got $100,000, and we're going to take that $100,000 and invest it in multiple stocks or even a single stock. I'm not usually recommended, but maybe you're a big fan of one company. Okay, so we put $100,000 of a company that we think has a big future growth potential, and we see that it goes up 10% the first year, and we even think it's so good it can do that year over year for the first 5 years. That's a great return by anyone's standards. But let's do the easy math. The stock goes up 10%, which gives you a return of $10,000 the first year, and if you extrapolate that over 5 years, it would, I don't know, be about compounding. I guess you'd end up with about $60,000 return roughly over that 5-year period. That's pretty solid ROI. Now let's take that same $100,000 and put it into real estate instead of a stock. Let's see what happens. We need to keep in mind our property value or investment value. The ratio for stocks was 1-to-1, where $1 equals whatever value that dollar invested in stock is. So you invest your $100,000 in real estate investing, your $100,000 is used as your down payment against a higher value asset. And you work with a lender, whoever that is, that you're working with to finance the balance of the property. Now, generally, they will provide you an 80% loan to value. So that means that your 20% down payment is your $100,000. And translated, you could purchase 5x the amount of a property, and that would make it worth $500,000, $500,000. So it's at this point of your investment, using the power of leverage to grow significantly, your $100,000 now becomes a value purchase of $500,000. $100K of your money and $400K of the debt of the bank's money. Now, when we apply a very conservative value increase of appreciation, whereas in the stock example we used 10%, let's just say for this example we use 2%. And that's where the appreciation is in alignment with the Canadian inflation rate. And it's something that we generally see over time as a fairly conservative rate of inflation. And sometimes it's 3 or 4%, or like right now, it's even more than that in some regions. Real estate's regional. We'll talk about that in another video. So when we apply the 2% value increase on our purchase property value of $500,000, our gain is $10,000. But that's only 2% ROI appreciation or value increase. But now let's actually apply the same math of our stock example to use a 10% increase as we do the stocks and realize we get a profit of $50,000 the first year. That's a big difference, 50 versus 10. That's leverage. So to bring this all together, we took the same $100,000 and we put it to work with stocks and then applied it to real estate. In stocks, you invested, it gives you a 1-to-1 ratio for your return on investment. Whereas by leveraging your $100,000 in real estate, that same $100,000 bought you an asset of $500,000. Therefore, because of leverage and the loan from the bank, your profitability in terms of being able to yield more return on investment is far greater. Leverage, when used strategically, puts you well ahead with real estate. So thanks very much for listening. If you'd like to hear more, remember you can go in the description and follow the link to sign up for my free newsletter to get front of the line insights and learn even more about investing. And as you know, the algorithms matter. So if you've got something out of this video, I'd really ask for you to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and if you didn't like it so much, that's okay. Give me a thumbs down. But if you do, drop a comment and why you didn't like it so I can work to improve. And if you did like it, then that's awesome. That's great. Give me a comment on that as well. Either way, thanks for joining me to support you on your journey to being an everyday millionaire, living a life by design.